Arduino Lab number 10, the Zoetrope, a little bit longer. Just really quick to show that it works. The directional switch is not working. But switching the wires around allows the DC motor to spin in the opposite direction. Alright, so on this one we're using the H-bridge, this integrated circuit, to supply power to our DC motor. Alright, so the code, oh actually, a little more about the board. So we're using a 9 volt to, I'm assuming, add power in order to power up the DC motor. And we're pulling power from that with the resistors here going from the 9 volt resistors and then into these switches here. And then we're using a potentiometer right here, which controls the speed at which our DC motor is spinning. So you can probably hear it, not see it as well. So you can control the speed with the potentiometer. Turn that off. And then from the H-bridge, it's supposed to tell the motor which direction to spin, which is why I was saying before with the wires, switching the wires around, you can change the direction in which the motor is spinning. We get our power to the H-bridge here up on pin 16, which is the pin up in this corner right here. Alright, now to the code. This one's a little more complicated, so it's harder to explain, at least for me. Alright, so the code. We got to create our constants for our outputs and our inputs with the control pins. So we do that in the first section of our code, including, so talking about the pins on the H-bridge. Scratch that. The digital pins up here are digital pins. So for instance, pin number 3. Was that right? 1, 2. No, I was right. The H-bridge. So creating constants for our H-bridge pins. So pin 1, pin 2. So you can see these yellow wires here going to pin 1 and 2. And as well as the direction switch pin. So we can control the direction in which this DC motor is spinning. Or on-off switch state pin. So being able to turn on and off our motor using the H-bridge, going through the H-bridge. So we create our variables again for the motor, then we declare our digital pins as inputs or outputs. So up here are digital pins, inputs or outputs, just like all the other labs. Let's see. We're also going to be reading sensor information, which is from the switches and the potentiometer. And you can watch that in the serial monitor, those changes in the highs and lows. And then we're going to use if loops, if statements to check if the on-off sensor has changed. So that right there. Actually, when I plugged this in, when I first started the lab, this thing, and since no one else is going to see this except you and random YouTubers, this scared the shit out of me when I plugged it in. I didn't think it was going to jump like that the very first time. Good time to practice 4-letter words. Alright, so anyway. So we check our on-off sensor to see if that's changed, and we check to see if the direction has changed with our DC motor, which, like I said, using the direction switch, no, I can't get it to change, so something I'll have to play with. Spins in one direction. The only way I can get the direction to change is if I switch the pins around from the DC motor to our H bridge. And then our PWM, the motor, if it's enabled, so our potentiometer, is it enabled? That's how we're going to control our speed. And then set the current states for the next loop. So before exiting the loop, we'll save the current state of the switches. So these right here. As the previous state for the next run through of the program. And that's that. Not the best explanation, but I did get it working. Had a few syntax errors and stuff, or typos that I had to work out, but I got it working.